Okay, so Platinum, D.Va, Soldier. Platinum, D.Va, and Soldier. Okay, let's take a look.
Nate, did you want D.Va? I can DPS.
If you'd rather.
Okay, so
With every death comes honor.
was yours next or one of the tank
honor,
VODs? Because if yours is one of the tank VODs, then that's one of the ones we're doing with Clone Man.
There's like soldiers, since we'll need a hit scan maybe.
I like that idea.
I would have liked to see Hanzo, but you're going to do Soldier instead. Soldier's not super good in the meta right now. He's a great character. But if we wanted to talk about meta picks, you know, if you wanted to make the perfect meta composition, Soldier's not really the play. Really powerful character. His mobility and the utility built into his kit allows him to be effective in a lot of scenarios. But the problem is that if he's going against Widowmaker or Hanzo, who are both more meta than Soldier right now, Soldier and McCree both get kind of wrecked by Hanzo and Widowmaker because of fall off and the inability to really contest them, unless the Hanzo and the Soldier, or the Hanzo and the Widowmaker, have completely ass awareness. So, doing a great job, Bond. Love your reviews. Hey, I appreciate the 500 bits, my friend. Akashi. As you know what, Akashi. I still have some, Let me just do one thing. So, there's kind of a funny story, but a viewer on the, and this will be the last tangent before I really truly start the VOD here, but a viewer sent me a mouse. They sent me a modded ultralight, right? So this is the ultralight. It's got custom mouse feet on it, and it's got a paracord on it. So, they were like, the only thing that I want you to do when you kind of receive this, and I don't want payment for it, I want you to just provide some gifted subscriptions to people in the chat. So you drop 500 bits. I appreciate the feedback. I appreciate you appreciating the reviews. So from Mr. Funhammer, or on behalf of Mr. Funhammer, enjoy the gift sub, my friend. Make sure you're on Discord to get full benefits of that one.
Get at the door and see what happens.
No, let's not do that. Oh, true enough, Brigitte.
5, 4, 3, 2,
Join me.
1.
Up here.
Attackers incoming.
A little bit early.
Defend.
So whenever you're doing this sort of thing, you always want to know the exact timing of how you're going to be spamming that door for energy. Like, you launched your Helix rocket early, and you didn't get any energy for it, right? So let's take. So you launched it at 1, which is too early. So if you had launched it at like half or something, that'd be fine. Like for Reinhardt, I know that on most maps I fire strike it like just after the lady says 2. On Zenyatta, you charge at 3.5 seconds. So if you are going to be playing a hero pretty consistently, and it's always a great idea to try and get energy on these doors, but you have to know the timing, or if you're playing Ana or Junkrat, you have to know the positioning and the arcs to try and put that damage into the front door. So good idea, but a little bit of extra thought or practice, or just kind of effort into figuring out, okay, at what point do I actually have to press right click to hit this door? So you're not guessing, right? Just little things like this add up. And if you are kind of going for the result of get me extra ult charge, well, if you don't know how to actually pull that off, then the only thing you're doing is actually putting yourself in a higher risk. Is the Guess My SR for subs only? Yes, Guess My SR is subs only. I rose 400 SR yesterday? You gained 400 SR in a day? What the fuck? That's like 16 more wins than losses? My good, what? That's... Did you play that for like 7 hours or something? Holy shit.
Defend objective A.
Doomfist.
I was going to be pretty irked if you didn't rotate to the high ground. Now, it always depends what they have. So they've got a McCree here. Perfect. Now, did I see somebody up here? I wasn't sure. So they're running... So the Ann is actually going to be more annoying to you here than the McCree is. If they don't have anything that can, like, one-shot you up here, like a, you know, a Zenyatta right-click... Zenyatta's right-click is actually one of the more terrifying things if you're holding this location as Soldier. But if they're running a McCree, then you win, because your fall-off is 33 meters, his is 22. So with them running McCree, this is an awesome position, because his flashbang can't really help you unless you're standing really close to the edge, and even if it does, it's an awkward angle for him to hit. So, yeah. 1995 to 2401. I played 6 hours. Whew. Whew. That is quite the climb, dude. You're almost just you're skipping the gold experience entirely. Very nice climb. Doomfist. Whenever you're going against a Doomfist or something like that, now normally you'd be using your Helix Rocket a lot more offensively. So anytime that they have a Reinhardt, and this is something that Iostex actually disagreed with me on. I wonder if Iostex still disagrees with me on this. I don't know. So, the question comes down to, should you use your Helix Rocket on Reinhardt's shield? That's the question. And in this situation, I would say no. But in most situations, I think that the answer is yes, especially if you are running... so, if they're running a Reinhardt and you're running a Reinhardt, yes. If they're running a Reinhardt and you're running an Orisa, super yes, because you're trying to break their shield, which kind of removes their tank's front line from being able to exist here. So, Soldier's Helix Rocket, especially with the, like, it's just a free 120 damage, and it can assist with removing Reinhardt's shield from the equation, breaking it earlier, forces him to, you know, take more damage from the entire rest of your team, forces him to have a shorter engage before he's going to be taking a lot of damage, can't take as nice of a position or take as long to get into that position. But when you're going against things that need to be threatened by your Helix Rocket, so if there's Genjis, if there's Doomfists, Tracers, things like that, using your Helix Rocket in those situations opens you up to losing 1v1 matchups. So especially if characters like that, like if I'm playing Doomfist and I see a Soldier use his Helix Rocket, he's even more of a juicy target than he was with his Helix. So if I'm Genji, for example, I know that I'm not going to have to use my Genji or my Reflect to try and you know, protect myself from his Helix Rocket. So if I see the Soldier using his Helix, I'm much more encouraged to attempt to fight him. So there are circumstances where I think it's important to use your Helix Rocket on shields, but I think the only two that you would ever do that are on Winston's shield, Winston's bubble, and on Reinhardt's bubble, and only if you don't have or you don't have the necessity to use that Helix Rocket to win matchups in which you can't control. So if an opponent has the ability to force the matchup on you, I would keep the Helix Rocket so you have the advantage, or at least less of a disadvantage in those 1v1s. Yeah, so if you're burning shields, I think if you're burning shields, use the Helix on the shield, but only if it's like a Reinhardt, especially if the opponent has a Reinhardt and you have an Orisa, definitely Helix the shield. And if they have like specific circumstances where a Winston bubble needs to be killed, then just like how a D.Va would use micro missiles to break Winston's shield, you can Helix. Because micro missiles is like, what did it get nerfed down to? Like 150? I don't actually know the pre-nerf damage on micro missiles. But D.Vas will invest their micro missiles into breaking shield faster. And Soldier's Helix is not far off in terms of damage to assist the breaking of a Winston bubble. Why did you get silenced? On Twitch? I don't know. You don't seem very silent. Talking right there. Yeah, and you would do the reload cancel, absolutely. You wouldn't want to Helix before you start to shoot, no. You'd want to do it as the reload cancel. That's probably the best way to do it. I know, I love this sweater, eh? My Orisa gameplay has improved already since yesterday? Nice. Rotating the high ground. 3 seconds
Their
on your
Ryan's
helix.
hella weak. I think they got heals.
Come here, get stabilized.
Shit, that was a bad idea.
That's a bit of a yikes. Ooh, nice.
Good. Okay.
Just want to watch this again.
Come here, get stabilized.
Shit, that was a bad idea.
Good. Okay.
There's too many potential issues here. So this is one of those situations where there's a fuck ton of things going wrong. We could talk about your aim. We could talk about your target priority. We could talk about your helix rocket usage. We could talk about a lot of things here, but I'm not sure which one is most relevant to talk about. So instead of going on a tangent this early, just know that there's a fuck ton wrong here, but I want to watch more to figure out what is of the things that we saw go wrong there, I want to see which one is the most relevant to correct.
Oh, my aim is so bad.
This is low plat, yep. It's like right on the line of 2500.
Oh yeah, hunt down that Ryan. Good job, guys. Now zoom, now zoom.
Yeah, there's like yeah. I'm gonna let it play for a little bit until I figure out what. Oh,
Watch shatter, watch shatter.
Oh no.
Nice shot, Zen.
Good shot.
Now, it's entirely possible here that you are the kind of player who is mediocre at everything. It's possible. Not everyone. We probably about 10 to 20% of the VODs that we get on, probably more like 10 to 15%. So probably 1 in every 6 or 1 in every 10, somewhere in there, of VODs that are submitted to me fall into this category where they're just mediocre, either mediocre at everything, or they have so many minor errors that they stack up and they compound each other. So there's people, the easy people to correct and coach are people like Aviation. So in yesterday's VOD, he had very clear-cut mistakes. You know, his mechanics were okay. He had a general enough understanding of the game as a whole, and that if you can correct a way of thinking about how to play the game, then that immediately is like turning a light switch, and it makes me look like a fucking genius. Because you can be like, oh no, how do I play the Overwatches? And I come in, I'm like, have you attempted to play the Overwatches differently? And they go, I never thought about that. You're so smart. And then they gain like 500 SR. So those are the easy ones. I just flick a switch. Congratulations, you're better at Overwatch. I point out one thing that you never thought about, and suddenly you're like, wow. And then you correct that. It leads to a different epiphany, and then you can just carry yourself the rest of the way because you just saw that one thing you were missing. And then we come to VODs like this, which are extremely difficult for me to correct because I think we're at like 10 possible talking points. And I don't, none of them appear to be on the stage of like a critical issue. None of them are, so far, the main reason you suck. All of them are reasons in which throughout your play, in every action you take, you are getting slightly less value in every single situation. So, and this can actually be one of the most difficult kinds of individual to see improvement, because you have to learn so many different things to see even close to the level of improvement as a person who I just correct a way in thinking. So, bad news is improving is going to take effort for you. For other people, it's going to be like, oh, wow, congratulations, you had the magic pill, and I took it, and I lasted 8 hours, and now I'm diamond, or now I'm masters, or something like that. That is not the case for you, and this sucks. So, this sucks. This just straight up sucks. But the good news. The good news about having this many minor issues, I suppose, is that if you correct them, more play styles will become apparent to you. So whenever I do get these kind of individuals who submit VODs to me who don't have one critical issue, but they have a shit ton of minor flaws, these people are the kind of people who always try and play as passively as possible. And you can see it kind of in this soldier, how he's constantly repositioning, he's taking safer locations, he's moving to the high ground, he's providing some value by contributing frontal pressure. You know, he is left-clicking things, he's right-clicking things, he's dropping his healing station, he's providing general value, but he's providing it in a very safe way, and he's never putting himself in a position where he can, you know, force a matchup with a guy and then completely beat him in 1v1 mechanics, right? He's playing safe, he's providing general value, but none of his actions are going to directly lead to an elimination, and this isn't the play style of somebody who can hard or is going to hard carry. Is that instead of trying to correct the issues in his play style has evolved to the point where he's trying to mask the issues in his positioning, in his cooldown management, in his mechanical aim, in his awareness. He's masking these issues by playing safer and more passive, so he doesn't get into a situation where these flaws actually matter as apparent as they could be. So, enough theory talk. I'm going to play this again muted and just kind of, so this time, instead of being silent while I'm watching the VOD, because whenever I watch these VODs, it usually doesn't take me very long to find the one thing that's wrong. But this time I'm going to play it muted, and I'm just going to basically stream of consciousness everything that you possibly could have been doing better in this situation. Let's just go from the start. Fuck it. Okay, so door is good for getting ult charge, and then you're rotating. So you're standing here, you haven't immediately decided on going to the high ground, only for a couple seconds. Moments indecision, fine here. Now you're up here, you immediately start putting damage into the shield, and then onto Zarya. This part is fine. Haven't used your Helix. You could have gone for the McCree to kind of like threaten him back. So especially if you can force the main DPS, that's a target selection issue. If you can, instead of pressure the shield, since they're in a place where they can just kind of like wait it out there, if you can threaten the DPS and the tank doesn't realize that the tank pushes in without the DPS, you're going to win the shield war overall. Whereas if you're contributing damage to the shield, their DPS are going to be able to contribute damage to your shield, and it's going to be a lot closer. So there, I would have focused on the McCree as much as possible. Forces the healers to look at the McCree instead of the tanks. Gives your front line even more of an advantage. So target selection there for a lot of various reasons. But you were just kind of like shooting at the Reinhardt shield, then shooting at the Zarya, then shooting at the McCree, based on who you could, not based on who you should. And if you do know who you should be shooting, you should be putting yourself in a situation and maneuvering so that you can continuously apply pressure to that target. You drop off the high ground. We're here now. That's fine. And then you rotate in the middle of a fight. So rotating like this is reducing your value in a fight quite a bit. Yes, it will get you to a vastly superior position, but it is going to be 2 meters more elevated off the ground, actually going to assist you. The enemy DPS are going to be a Genji. No, are they playing triple DPS? I thought I saw a Genji as well. It's definitely Doomfist, definitely McCree, but I thought I saw a Genji as well. So 2 of those guys, Genji and Doomfist, can get to the high ground. So going to the high ground actually isn't going to protect you that much, and removing you from the supports is actually going to prevent the supports from assisting you, and prevent you from assisting the supports with the use of your healing station. So you rotate up to the high ground here. So this fight has been going on, and for those 3 or 4 seconds, you were contributing less value than you should have. So this has caused the flow of resources to move more in favor of the opponent because you haven't providing damage during this time. Okay, so now the team has gained an advantage because you fucked off for 3 or 4 seconds. Okay, aim here could be better. You lose your Genji. Now here you were shooting the Zarya, and then you go after a Brigitte, somebody who has a shield. And then you drop on the Brigitte. So the Zarya here, I believe the Zarya, I'm just going to double check this, but I'm pretty sure the Zarya used personal. Didn't the Zarya use personal? I was pretty sure I saw that. Zarya uses personal right here. This makes Zarya the primary target, not the Brigitte. Especially since you can just back off from the high ground at any point, the Zarya should have been the one that you were pressuring, not the Brigitte. Also because Brigitte wasn't firing at anyone. She got it separated, yes, but Zarya. Definitely should have been the Zarya here. Especially since your Reinhardt is right there. Dropping off to contest a close range character when you have a 33-meter fall off and you put yourself into melee range, that's a bit questionable. You rotate to the right based off your weird decision. Your aim is a little bit bad, and this is the second Helix in a row that you've put in a weird place. The first one here, you're tracking the Brigitte okay, I guess, but then you Helix rocket the car, right? So you were tracking the Brigitte okay, but then if we look at this, you put a Helix rocket into the car instead of into the Brigitte. So what? And this is like the third time you've put a rocket at the floor, so it's possible you're trying to like put it near their feet to pop them up or something. But maybe I'm reading too much into it and you just missed. But so you put the Helix into the rocket or the Helix rocket into the ground next to the Brigitte there. And the second time when you're dueling, I believe it's the Zarya, you also miss in the exact same location. Right, bottom left. For some reason, you miss for Helix in the second place there. You have your Helix or your healing station. You aren't using it to assist the person that the Zarya was dueling. And then you rotate to the high ground. Now, the problem is that you've rotated back to a safer location, again, removing you from the fight, reducing the amount of value you could actually contribute to the fight, and not assisting with cleaning up after you'd won the team fight. Waste of a healing station. You had a Moira there. Healing station is a horrendous long cooldown, and it's kind of like the main way that you actually keep yourself alive. You're looking for a weird angle here. You're not a character that has burst damage, so trying to shoot people through corner angles like this isn't going to work, because even if they do take damage, they'll be able to take cover before you can actually finish them off. Putting damage into the shield here, this is good. Staying with your team here, this is probably the best decision you've actually made. However, you fuck it up by rotating into the high ground right as the enemy is pushing in, giving them the advantage. You hide from the McCree for longer than necessary, where you could have been trying to peek shoot him while he was in high noon. And now as your tank line is moving forward, you don't drop off the high ground to move forward and try and pressure with the team. Here, you're not really getting any value, but you do end up wasting your ultimate, even though you won the team fight overall. See, I haven't watched past this point yet. You should be moving up with your team because you already have the advantage. Could have dropped your healing station in the location where that pin was going to come out. Good dodge on the hammer down. You could have pushed through security to find an angle, knowing that their main tank was down. Good drop of the healing station. That was unfortunate. So Doomfist finally caught you out. So Soldier's sprint ability gives him the ability to get to high grounds, very aggressive positions, flank into positions, retreat away from aggressive positions without being punished as severely. Like, yes, they have a Doomfist who actually can punish Soldier really hard, but for most circumstances, especially, like, most Doomfists aren't really good at responding fast enough, and if they are jumping at you and you see them coming, you can usually run away before they actually are able to land their full combo on you. So playing safe is bad if it reduces your value. Like, so when we're talking about positioning, you want the positioning that will give you want as an aggressive position as possible where you can stay alive and get the most value that you possibly can. A safe position is a worthless position if you get no value from being there, right? And this, it's funny, because Soldier is the first DPS I learned. Soldier is the first DPS I learned. And when I got a VOD review very early in my Overwatch career, if you can call it such a thing, I had a VOD review done on Nimbani. I wonder if I can actually find that VOD review. This might be possible to look at it like a year-old VOD review of me. Flow feedback. So yeah, if you guys are like wondering what the hell is going on in my head while I'm watching VODs and not talking, it's kind of what's going on. And then once I see something that's like, oh, this is a big mistake, then I go, oh, let's talk about that. Soldier on Numbani. I think we found it. I think we found it. We're going to look at a VOD review of me from a year ago. Masters gameplay. I was so proud of being able to put Masters in a VOD review. I was like 35-10. I was so proud of being able to put Master in the title of this VOD. You don't even realize how proud I was. And I was playing on a Smurf here. I was playing on my DPS Smurf. So it made me look like a Smurf. So even though I was 35-10, I could be like, ha, I'm just a Smurf. I'm actually better. No, I was really proud of being Masters at this point in time. I was really proud of being Masters. And if you guys don't know, flowed feedback, by the way, is fantastic. So first off, let me make sure I'm not leaking anything. Okay, perfect. So there's a couple channels on the Discord, and one of them is VODs here. Now, VODs, you submit flow feedback links, and flow feedback links are awesome because they have the video, but then there's these blue bars across the bottom, and if you click on one of these, it will take you to the timestamp where somebody adds a comment about your gameplay. So there is one specific area where in this fight, that this was kind of like a turning point with how I thought about positioning. And it was on Streets Phase Defense. And yes, I can remember the content of VODs from over a year ago. Don't question it. This is attack, right? This is attack. This is King's Row. No, this is attack. This was the defense. This is third. Did we already lose third? What in the heckers? Ah, here it is. Here it is. Let's watch a little bit of this. So did we lose first point immediately? Okay, let's just watch it from the start, because apparently this happens really early in the VOD. Play.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
Okay, so I'm playing Soldier on Numbani here. Oh, I haven't watched this in forever. Just trying to get some extra early ult charge. We must lose this fight right away here. My aim was trash, apparently. Still is, but it was back then too. Not using sprint to reposition. Just kind of farming the Roadhog here. So again, my target priority sucked because I was going on a Roadhog instead of pressuring the Mercy or the Soldier. We have no tanks to contest the point. I finally do actually get a little bit of better target priority. We use the point. And then I'm just like, okay, fuck this. And I just retreat. So we lost, and I run away. And then the place that I position on Numbani is going to be this high ground location right here. And then eventually I'm going to rotate back onto the high ground farther into like the second half here. So we lose our Roadhog. And I think I die here. I think there's one other... I die one more time before coming back. Don't remember what killed me, though. Maybe I didn't. I think the McCree comes up the stairs and flash fans me. Or is it Soldier? I lose the matchup to this Soldier because my aim sucked. So, now here's the question that I had, is that when I came back, I'm going to be on this high ground here. But the question that I had for the person who was reviewing this VOD at the time was that I have my position as Soldier right there. And if my team is moving into the cleanup phase, do I give up the high ground in order to provide extra value to my team? So I was actually, at this point in time in my gameplay, I would take very safe positions as Soldier, a lot like this Soldier player is doing. But then what I would do is I would stay in those positions and I would yell at my tanks to keep playing in locations where I could provide value. Right here. So this is the situation that I was struggling with. Right here, you can see my tanks are by green, and this is already into my fall-off range pretty significantly. This is 50 or 60 meters, so I'm throwing confetti at this range here, but I don't want to give up the high ground to push up with my tanks or rotate here. So on voice comms here, I'm yelling at my tanks to stay in a position where I can assist them, which in my head at the time was the correct choice. because this is the best position. I have reviewed Numbani. I have prepared Numbani. I know where the best positions on Soldier are. I know that where I am right now, in a custom game with no opponents and no allies, where I am right now is the best position to be in. So, and they want to go up and they start fighting past the green bus. And here, they've gone outside of my LOS. And you can still see I'm sitting here. I'm not doing anything, but my team is fighting. And this is one of the errors in thinking that I had really early in me playing Overwatch. So there's the hammer. He gets counter-hammered. And I'm still trying to like play in my safe area, but you can see how little damage I'm doing at this range. And you can see that I'm still kind of like doing some damage, but this is pre-nerf Soldier. So this is where Soldier was doing 20 damage per shot instead of 19. And then McCree just finds an unfortunate angle on me and I die. But, so this is the error, and I was Masters at this point in time, right? So this is the error that I was making, and this is also the error that you're making in Platinum, is that you are favoring safe positions and cautious positions over actually providing value to your team, moving up with your team. So there's a quote in the channel that good positioning has context. So whereas this position that I'm in right now as Soldier is a good position in an empty custom game, when we're actually playing a game and going against opponents, the conflict area shifts. It's not always where you predict it to be. And it is much more important for you to be contributing value to your team wherever the fight happens to end up than being in the theoretical best position. That's kind of the lesson here. So if we go back to, let's do Hollywood. So if we're doing Hollywood,
Welcome to Hollywood.
We're all soldiers now.
what the hell? Oh, right, I rebound my fucking... from the testing this morning. Oh, man, where's Jump? So, when you're in this location and you're shooting and you're shooting and shooting, one of the things that you did was you retreated back into Cafe to put you into the safer location onto the high ground. And how many times have you been told, high ground, high ground, high ground? You want to be in the high ground. You want to go to the high ground. You're on the low ground. You want to go to the high ground. This is something that's parroted by shitty coaches just constantly. Go to the high ground. Go to the high ground. So instead, actually where I would have gone is through security. And I would have set up the crossfire on my advancing tanks. I'm in this location, I can use the blue car as cover, and I can get nice firing lines, and then if I get pressured, I can just retreat back through. So instead of being here where I'm not getting any value and provide, you know, I decide to provide even less value, one of the things that if I had been playing in that game, I would have pushed through security and used this firing line right here, and then if my tanks were keep pushing up, you know, the Reinhardt's going to be backing up there, and if I can set up a different line from that Reinhardt, boom, 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 I see the Doomp is coming, yeah, fuck you, bud, I'm out of here. And then if he tries to chase, boom, so... But, yeah, positioning has context. So, but yeah, in order to take, and like, one of the reasons why this isn't becoming more apparent in your VOD is because you're a smart individual, and you recognize that, or maybe you've attempted to play. Shut up. You know, anytime you do go with these more risky and aggressive positionings, anything like that, you get punished for it. And the reason you get punished for it is because of the amount of flaws in your gameplay and the low level of your mechanics. So taking these more aggressive positionings, how aggressive a position you can get away with is directly proportionate to how good your mechanics are. So if your mechanics are really, really good, you can take extremely aggressive and riskier positioning because you can win based on your mechanics, whereas the shittier mechanics are, the more mistakes you make, the more passive and careful you have to be with your play. So, you can take more aggressive positioning if your mechanics are better. That's this lesson, basically. That's what I want you to consider. Anyway, so I forgot that I had these old flow feedback videos. That's funny. Okay, let's keep watching your soldier VOD. Any questions about that little tangent about positioning? It's my mechanics are so bad I play from the spawn room. So what I'm hearing is that it isn't my fault I'm shit, it's rather my mechanics' fault, which is still your fault, but yes. I'm new, what's going on? We're looking at a soldier VOD and trying to help the soldier player improve. I love you, Jayne. Do you love me? I do love you, Demo Medic. In chess, that's the difference between active and passive positioning. I don't know chess terms. I used to play chess, but I never studied it academically. Good morning, Kirito. Good to see you. Okay. This advice applies for pretty much any hero. It doesn't have to be Soldier. Soldier is just even more relevant because his sprint allows him to change positioning way faster and way more aggressive than any other character. Because if he decides to disengage, he moves faster than everybody else. So nobody can force Soldier to engage without CC. That's what makes Soldier so strong with his positioning and repositioning. He doesn't have vertical mobility, but his sprint allows him to open and close angles like crazy. He can just pop up, and then if he's in an aggressive position and it didn't work, he can be like, oh well, oops, didn't mean to, jokes, kidding, bye, and then run away. So it's the fact that Soldier can very quickly position and reposition, and nobody can force him into an engagement based on his sprint without CC that makes him so powerful in that regard. So when exactly he needed to take high ground in this game, or where should he be when enemies are right to the point? When he's right to the point, he can either rotate onto Cafe or just onto the central building there. Anyway, so I'm going to let it play, so I want to try and find a more specific mistake in your play other than just general your shit.
You miss out of position. Then you go back in.
Objective lost. Stop the
Back out, back out. That's fine, no need to fight.
I have 4.4 EDPI, but can't do a 180. I can't aim on anything higher. What should I do? Play heroes that don't require 180s. Like, High Noon can't lock onto you that fast. You can jiggle Pika High Noon pretty easily. Okay. I don't want to be an asshole, but I just want to point out how bad your mechanics actually are. 1. So, tracking. Trigger discipline. Because I think only 1 bullet hit. So, if you go off target, stop firing, especially on Soldier, since the act of not firing, once you do reacquire, will make your next burst more accurate. So, spraying and praying on Soldier is not good.
Oh, Mario, run.
No rest for the weary. My ultimate is charged. Attack with me.
My ultimate is charged.
Anyone needs some healing?
You know what? I liked that you cared enough about your team to give them the healing station. Was it necessary? No. But it shows thought. So good.
Recall. Watch your sleeps. Your blinkers, Arya.
Anyone needs some healing?
Recall. Watch your sleeps.
Is that you calling that out? That is you. Yeah, you're making those callouts. So let's talk about the callout watch for sleeps. Chat, what do you think of that callout? Watch for sleeps. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? And somebody puts a handicapped emote in chat? Okay, that's rude. Loki. That's a bit rude. Oh man. So there's a couple things. So the best thing that I've seen in chat is friendly reminder. So friendly reminders can come across as passive aggressive or condescending or something like that. If you're a Reinhardt player or something like that, then if somebody says, "Hey Reinhardt, don't get slept," I either think, did I get slept earlier in the game? Is that why you're being a little bitch to me? Of course I know that there's a sleep there. So, you as soldier, you're not going to be dangerous. You're not playing dive, so sleep isn't a trigger to initiate on the D.Va. It's a weird call-out that doesn't really matter. So, maybe if you were kind of like trying to say it, like if you said it in a different way, like Ana no sleep, that would have been a good call-out. Because maybe you indicated the fact that, hey, Genji, their Ana used sleep, now you can kill her. That's a good call-out. Call-out watch for sleep. People are like, more than usual? Why is sleep relevant all of a sudden right here? So, one of the quotes on this channel is calls imply action. So your call either needs to dictate that a person act in a specific way right now, or that they change the way they act. But is your Reinhardt or your Genji going to act differently, other than get kind of annoyed with you, by the statement, watch for sleeps? How do you want them to act differently based on that call-out? It doesn't imply an action. It's not relevant.
Blinkers, Arya.
That's unfortunate.
Oh,
This will restore you.
I almost have my visor again.
Reminders are not
No
necessary.
rest for the weary.
reset first, group up before you go in.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go in.
If I had to remind my teammates how to play the game, I'd never get to the relevant shit. He should have been running away immediately. This is a pretty common place for people to get staggered.
Don't fight here, back up.
I love these hoodies, man. It's actually, okay, 100% sellout. There's a $20 hoodie sale. So if you want one of these hoodies, they're actually on sale for $20 today. They're usually like 60 bucks. So there's a link in the stream panels, but they're on sale for 20 bucks today. And I get money if you buy one. Hail corporate, you're goddamn right, man. Full-time streamer, gotta make money somehow.
I can pop my ult. Can we take care?
I like this positioning. I do like this positioning. Though.
I'm looking.
Missed your Helix. I like to play anytime we play like so people who are new to DPS, I feel like I kind of started playing DPS in the same way, is because you feel less shit playing a rapid fire character with spread, because you can be like, oh, I'm just not doing damage because of the spread or the fall off or something like that. And rapid fire heroes kind of, again, just like passive positioning masks your other flaws, a rapid fire DPS is going to mask your shitty mechanics. So, how many hit markers did you get here? How many hit markers did you get? Those hit markers were for Brigitte's shield. 1 headshot. Was that 1 or 2 body shots? And then you helix the wall. So, if you watch these VODs back, and like really watch these VODs back, you used 2 helix rockets and 25 bullets, and you got like 1 hit. You got 1 headshot and then 1 body shot. So the amount of damage that you did with 2 helix rockets and 2 clips of ammunition was less than 40. Or, no, less than, well, probably less than 50. I guess 1 headshot in fall off plus, yes, it's not much. It's not much. So, if you had been playing McCree or Hanzo and you had missed every shot, you would have been very intimately aware of the level at which you suck. But playing Soldier, playing Tracer, to some extent playing D.Va, yeah, playing D.Va certainly, playing any of these heroes that have like a rapid fire component to them where you just like spray in the general direction of the opponent, people are often very poor to realize how bad their mechanics actually are. So, one of the things, whenever I encounter Soldier players who have aim like this, it's that they're not consciously aiming, they just kind of, they know they're rapid fire, so if they stop shooting, well, you know, if you stop shooting, you have less of a chance to hit them. So people like this, I basically take Soldier out of their hero pool, and then I give them McCree and say, go. And they're like, but I can't kill anything. And I'm like, you couldn't kill anything on Soldier anyway. But now you realize that you're missing. Now you realize that you're missing the target, and you have to consciously aim every shot. And if you're tracking on Soldier, you need to consciously track your opponent. You need to realize when you are tracking your opponent, when you are off target, when you're shooting the wall, when you're shooting the floor, when you're actually on target. So once you actually are able to critically self-evaluate whether or not you're successfully damaging the opponent, then you can figure out the situations when you're not, you stop firing, you reacquire, you start firing. And that also, in Soldier, resets your spread. So you don't need me to tell you this. If you had actually like looked at your VOD, you should have been like, yeah, I suck. I can't hit shit. So this is the sort of thing that you should be able to self-identify. If you were looking at your own VOD here, you should be able to be like, I didn't really hit many shots there. What was the reason why I didn't hit many shots? And then trying to work back. So yeah, so if this was your own VOD, you would have looked at it. This is an issue. Let's break it down. Let's watch it in 25% speed. What was going wrong here? Why did I suck? Was it my positioning? No, my positioning was good. I was on the high ground, you know, but why couldn't I actually hit this target? Was it my tracking was bad? Was I didn't realize that I was missing my target? Blah, 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 blah. You break it down, and then you finally arrived at something which you can practice. So if you really sucked, if I found out in this situation, if this was the VOD that I was watching or something, then I'd realize, okay, maybe I have trouble tracking things in the vertical plane. Maybe that is the skill that you have realized that your gameplay is missing after having looked at this VOD. So you grab Soldier, and then if you just do like this sort of thing, not going to actually be that helpful. So what you want to do is you want to be going to the high ground, and then you want to stand on this little corner here, and then you practice tracking in the vertical plane. Or maybe we stand on this pillar. And then we'll track in the vertical plane.
Double kill. Triple kill.
And if this is too easy, then you're going to find a map with high ground, and you're going to turn on Anabots, and then you're going to also increase the speed so the Anabots move at 200% speed. And then you're going to practice tracking the Anabots from a high ground location where the Anabots strafe really fucking fast. Yeah, so. I didn't make the jump. Should be able to make that jump, shouldn't I? There we go. So yeah, this is the skill that I've realized that I'm lacking, and this is the skill that I'm going to practice. I'm going to incorporate this up into my warm-up routine. I am going to develop custom game settings in which I can use to fix this deficiency in my own gameplay, and then over time, I'm going to improve this issue.
I'm just getting started.
Which grip do you have to use hold your mouse? I'm actually trying to transition between. I was in palm, I moved to claw, I'm trying fingertip. I'm actually experimenting with different grips of my mouse right now, so I don't have one specific grip that I'm working with. I'm actually at the annoying point in time where I use a different grip in Overwatch than on the desktop, which actually also annoys me. So I'm experimenting with mouse grips right now just to try and like see what the difference is between them. Anyway. Whoa.
Alright, when you grab hold. Or now.
Second tactical visor you've wasted. I'm sure if I say this, chat will be able to answer immediately, but why do you not combo tactical visor with Graviton? Why do you not tactical visor with Graviton? Plat chat says headshots. Thank you. You do more damage outside of tactical visor. You just have to aim at their head. Lol forehead. What grip is the best? I've found that the grips is more of a different like not a difference between which is best, but it's more of a trade-off between speed and stability. So fingertip aim, like claw grip, really fast acquisition, but I'm way less accurate, and I can't like do planted aim as well. Whereas a when I do palm grip, I'm a lot smoother and steadier, and I like smooth tracking, I'm way better at, but I really suck at smooth tracking on claw grip. Anyway.
Someone hold Bjorn, huh?
Where's my...
Pro Genji, by the way.
Get back up.
Friggin' melee. Shit.
I feel so vindicated every time I see Platinums just waste every fucking ult in the game when it's exclamation mark differences or exclamation mark difference. I don't remember which one it is, but there's that clip that tells where I very, very briefly talk about the different problems at each rank, and Platinum, every single time I look at Platinum, it's always I just have no fucking idea how or when to use my ultimate, so I'm just going to press Q. So, my goodness. Okay, and if you guys didn't see it, by the way, if you right now are gold or platinum, I actually did an interview with Team Dignitas where I spoke at length about how to climb out of gold and platinum. So I'm just going to spam that article. So that's the article that contains the interview with Team Dignitas where I talk about how to climb out of gold and platinum. So if you are gold or platinum, I basically spoke into a microphone for 40 minutes based off of a series of questions I was sent, and the poor bastard transcribed it. I was like, wow, you're a trooper. How long did that take? You know, how long would it take to transcribe like 40 minutes of my rambling into a coherent article? Unbelievable. But anyway, if you're gold or plat, and you're kind of like new to this whole how do I get better lol, that article I think is going to be probably the place where I send people, because it has all of my thoughts organized in an easy to read or kind of more chronologic format.
Is approaching its destination.
Should you keep the same sensitivity between all heroes? Personal preference, dude. Just like how DPI switches are personal preference, mouse pads, mouse, they're all personal preference. Sorry if this comes off a bit asshole-ish, but could you review my SR guest videos first, since you reminded you to unlock? Totally fine if you don't. Hey, if I can find it, yeah. That's actually been a full hour, hasn't it? Holy smokes. It took us an hour to get through 8 minutes? Really? That doesn't seem right. Ba, 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 ba. Only got 7 minutes left. Ugh. 7 minutes left, and I've got like 14 minutes of VOD to go through.
I'll be busy.
Do you play D.Va the entire rest of the time? I think you do.
That is one can hide from my sight.
Getting all headshots.
Okay, so you had a game sense question you wanted me to answer, though. So let's just do that part, and then we'll put a period on the end of this VOD. What was your question about game sense? Wanted to know if we should have attacked at the very end or stayed back. Okay, so we're watching D.Va defense because he had some game sense questions about this.
5, 4,
Who's the best Torb?
2, 1.
No hit, gatekeeper.
Attackers incoming.
Both are really good.
Defend objective A.
My ultimate is charged.
Yeah, I started that one
Build
up.
the turret's really good. Mangachu, of course. Mangachu's probably the best Torb Pro player.
Rushing it.
Okay, I had to teach Mangachu, or I was, I'm not sure for how many of you guys actually watched DeFran, but I was in DeFran's chat spamming bits at him trying to teach him different Torbjorn texts, because he didn't fucking know any of them except for, haha, lol, left click people in the head. I was like, DeFran, come on. I was trying to teach DeFran hammer text. 1 bit donation at a time. So no, DeFran is not the best Torbjorn. DeFran might be the best aimer on Torbjorn, but in terms of like actually using Torb's kit, ooh, no, not quite.
Ryan run back.
You were there for that? Oh my god, that was such a funny day. Yikes, 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 please get out of there.
Stay against the wall, guys.
Don't pick the middle.
I don't understand what you're trying to do here, and I'm not sure if you do either.
Up top, up top.
Oh shit, I got one.
Get a foreign.
Back up, back up, back
Hunt him
up.
down, hunt him down.
Really.
And then pull back.
We gotta stagger the Zarya. We have to.
Pull back, pull back.
Back out.
Pull back, dude.
Pull back, everyone,
Don't
pull
get
back.
that kill. We lose the fucking.
I'm assuming your teammate's not happy about that one. Your teammate is not happy about that one.
Shit, I got one.
Widow awareness, 10 out of 10. Why am I taking damage?
Get a foreign.
Back up, back up, back
Hunt him down, hunt him
up.
down.
Really.
So the call from the Mercy was hunt him down. You oblige. The Reaper is wraith forming away. You go into her, and the problem with this is that the Zarya gets a Brigitte and a Moira up.
And then pull back.
We gotta stagger
So the Moira orb arrives, and the Brigitte triggers her Inspire off of you. That Zarya is double pocketed.
the Zarya. We have to.
So the Reinhardt is saying stagger the D.Va, we have to, but he's not frontlining and not applying damage to the Zarya, and your Reaper has already used Wraith, so he can't go in. So your Mercy called for it, your Reinhardt called for it, you followed the comms, which yes, you always trust that the calls are correct, especially in a scrim environment. In a ranked environment, sometimes you play with potatoes. But following the calls is always the superior option.
Pull back, pull back.
Back out.
Pull back, dude.
Pull back, everyone,
Don't
pull
get
back.
that kill. We lose the fucking game. They don't get it.
Okay, that's
He's got chatter for
Good,
sure.
good.
10 seconds.
So the mistake was not yours. you were the one who looked like an idiot, but the mistake was not yours. The mistake was of the Mercy and the Reinhardt for calling that play, not being with you to assist it, and then the people afterwards countermanding the call instead of following it, and then flaming and stop focusing on the fight. So you're the one who looked like an idiot, and in terms of like who actually got demeched or punished for it, it was you, but you followed the call of the Mercy as the Reinhardt. So would you, if you had gone in, and this is, the mistake here is not, should we have attacked? I think that's the wrong question to ask here. Whether you are passive or whether you're aggressive doesn't matter. It's whether you are passive or aggressive together that matters. Overextending just means more aggressive than your teammates. If your team was with you, if your Reinhardt was in front of you taking most of that damage, it wouldn't have been overextending. It would have been aggression. So the problem here is just the mismatched aggression between your teammates, not you didn't do anything wrong here. I would not criticize you for that.